Tonight, border relief at last, tears and a travel rush as Queensland ends the blockade. And WA finally sets the date to open up, but it's weeks away. Plus, fast-acting neighbours save a man shot at his home. A gunman terrorises a young woman in a chilling hold-up in Melbourne's north. New hope in the tornado surge, but time is running out. And Melbourne on a Christmas splurge as the city moves to extended trading. Details live.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. Australia's state borders are finally opening up. Queensland dropped its restrictions this morning, ending 5 painful months of separation for families and sparking a travel rush. And WA has just announced it will scrap its hard border controls in February.
Happy cheers and warm embraces.
It was still a roller coaster of emotions watching them get married without us there.
Reuniting in real life has never felt so sweet.
I can't even describe how I feel right now.
I'm just so happy, I don't even know how to feel. It's just been so many FaceTimes and phone calls waiting for this moment. I'm just so excited to have him back.
She probably doesn't recognise me with the mask on because we've only ever talked on FaceTime. She's never seen me. It's weird to have so much love for someone for 2 years, but to have never met them and now to see them in real life, I don't know, it's unbelievable.
This Gold Coast touchdown marked the end of a 149-day lockout. Jetstar and Qantas today carrying 10,000 passengers on 100 flights to and from Queensland. For overseas arrivals, this has been an even longer time coming.
I only thought it would go on for a few weeks, and then unfortunately the weeks turned into months, which turned into years, and then it was literally impossible to get back home. And with no flights, nothing going on, it was really tough.
On land, an estimated 50,000 vehicles passed border checks, some queuing from the moment the lockout ended.
Trying to get across the border from excitement and desperation, and we've been waiting for 3 months to get across, and we're over it.
The wait also over for welcoming loved ones back to Melbourne.
Bex had about 3 flights booked, and this is the first one that's actually succeeded.
I haven't been down here since before I fell pregnant, so we can't wait to go see Auntie Alex. Yeah. It's the first time.
We've got guests from Queensland and stuff too, so yeah, it's been hard.
Sort of had to wait for the borders to open to know if we could have them or not.
Yeah.
And they're both part of our bridal parties.
337,000 travellers passed through Melbourne's domestic terminals in November, up nearly 800% on the 37,000 passengers in October. And Virgin's tempting more holidaymakers, releasing over 1 million one-way fares to Queensland at just $59. Vaccinated travellers heading to Queensland must have a negative PCR COVID test. Melbourne Airport is calling for pre-departure swabs to be scrapped, saying they're unnecessary and confusing.
We're really only going to see about 60% of pre-COVID levels. We have high vaccination rates across the country. So we do think now it's time to get back to the normal travel and make it as seamless as possible.
He said he was going to cry, you're right.
Yeah, it was just something in my eye, I don't know. Yeah.
Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
Western Australia will be the last state to reopen. Blake Johnson has the details. It's set the date, Blake, but it's not until next year.
Mike, Australia is finally becoming one, but not for another 7 and a bit weeks. Mark McGowan announcing in just the past hour, WA will rejoin the rest of the country at 12:01am on Saturday, the 5th of February next year. Travellers to WA will need a negative PCR test within 3 days of going. If you're having a longer stay there, you'll need another test on day 2 and another on day 6.
I'm confident that this is the right time and the right way to take this important step. Western Australia's current zero COVID environment and high vaccination rate will help deliver the softest landing.
Tasmania opens its border to fully vaccinated Victorians on Wednesday, and also on Wednesday, international students and skilled migrants can come back in. That was confirmed by the PM today. Mike?
Blake Johnson, thank you. Victorians are being promised there's no shortage of vaccine for COVID boosters after 500,000 people became eligible for their third shot overnight. Pharmacies and state hubs are now being swamped with people looking for the next dose.
A fast-tracked booster program was welcome news.
We're very pleased about the change in ATAGI's advice.
And it means more than 618,000 Victorians became eligible for their third shot overnight.
We need to get people to come and have their booster shots. It's a really important time, especially now that we've got this new variant that we're hearing about.
62 state-run hubs are taking booster appointments across the state. However, the Royal Exhibition Building and Melbourne Town Hall hubs will shut for good on December 17. And if you're planning to get your jab over Christmas, most hubs will close on the 24th and reopen in the new year.
Really important if you're heading out, going away for holidays, make sure that that booster's given, and now we can give it at 5 months.
Chemist Warehouse has been swamped with inquiries for booster shots today.
We've been inundated by calls to our customer service team and also to all of the sites that are actually administering Moderna vaccination, and so people just want to book in and get it done now that they can get it done earlier.
And many are choosing their local pharmacies because their GPs are booked out.
Pharmacies have got a consult room, they've got appropriate waiting areas that allow people to physically distance, and they'll be monitored for their 15 minutes post-vaccination exactly the same way that they would in their GP clinic.
But some experts believe the wait time could be shortened again.
There's recent research from the UK that shows that, especially with AstraZeneca, after 3.5 to 4 months, you're getting very little protection against Omicron.
Mask rules are set to be relaxed on Wednesday, but under the new pandemic legislation, the state government has to consider the latest health data before it can announce if the easing will go ahead. Because of that, the announcement may not come until the last minute.
I'm not going to speculate on what's going to actually occur.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Fast-acting neighbours have helped save a man after he was shot outside his Geelong home in the middle of the afternoon. The shooting has sparked a hunt for the gunman as the victim recovers. A warning, the vision you're about to see has been carefully edited but is confronting.
Covered in blood and barely breathing.
It's coming, they're coming.
Neighbours help a man gunned down outside his own home for no apparent reason.
He's bleeding out big time from the stomach.
He said that he doesn't know the person and then he came and just got gun and shot him.
Offender unknown.
And unknown, and he's on the run and he's got a gun.
We got some ambulances coming.
Struck by at least 2 bullets, his attacker nowhere to be seen.
G'day mate, how are you? Hey, good.
The guy's still on the loose somewhere.
It's certainly extremely brazen and quite confronting for the other neighbours in the area.
Including mother of 2, Nikita Johnson.
It was so terrifying. The only thing I could think of straight away was my kids hiding in my closet.
Her mother was one of the first to rush to help.
I went over to him and he looked straight in my eyes and said, "I've been shot twice." I grabbed a towel and my partner grabbed his t-shirt, took it off, and he used that as well.
The motive is still unknown, but police are investigating one possible theory, whether a dispute over a dirt bike led to shots being fired.
No one deserves to get shot like that. No one.
The gunman managed to escape on foot, running through this parkland, but where he went from here is still unknown. Police are now probing if there was a getaway car waiting for him.
Very shaken in terms of the confronting sight that they would have seen.
The victim remains in hospital in a critical condition. Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
Geelong will get a jobs boost under a $1 billion deal to build armoured vehicles for the Australian Army. A South Korean company will set up operations in the city, employing hundreds under the agreement. It was announced as the country's president visited Australia for high-level defence talks.
Close allies with a common interest, securing deals that leave China out of the picture. Welcoming President Moon Jae-in, Scott Morrison mastering his Korean, but encountering some trouble with his English, reflecting on the country's 60-year-old economic and military partnership.
Our ties were forged during the Korean War.
Military ties now deepened. A $1 billion deal secured in 2019, signed today for 30 self-propelled howitzers and 15 ammunition supply vehicles built by Korean contractors in Geelong, including a new armoured vehicle centre of excellence in the city, hoping to secure future export deals.
Based on the solid friendship and trust we have built over the past 60 years, we will
together prepare for a new era.
Including cooperation on new technologies, Australia to export critical minerals to Korea to be developed into clean energy and other technologies that frees China out as a supplier. Building post-pandemic trade opportunities while domestically extending loan guarantees for small and medium-sized businesses to help them recover. A $7 billion 6-month extension to June, guaranteeing business loans of up to $5 million for 10 years.
It's not free money, but this is money that you can borrow to then back your own business.
And then payback. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Police have descended on a Yarraville fuel terminal, arresting 2 climate protesters locked to a concrete-filled steel drum. Extinction Rebellion claims ExxonMobil is one of the biggest polluters on the planet.
This looks ridiculous to some people. We understand that. But we're doing this because we've tried everything else.
The company says it's ensured the site was safe and secure for its workers. Gunmen have terrorised women and children during an armed robbery spree in Melbourne's western north. 2 female business owners had a gun pointed at their head.
Fuelled by drugs and alcohol, 2 armed bandits storm a convenience store at Hillside on Saturday afternoon, petrified women and children in the line of fire. 2 boys, aged 7 and 14, fled in horror. The female shop owner was bailed up. At times, the barrel of the Glock handgun was pressed against her forehead as she was shoved around. The mother of 3 was convinced the gun was loaded and her life was in danger.
They opened the door and inside they have the gun, so suddenly, so very quickly, so they cannot do anything.
2 hours earlier, the same 2 suspects terrorised the female owner of a bottle shop in Laverton. The victim had the gun pointed at her head before being toppled. The 2 female victims are too terrified to work, but one of the suspects is now in custody. Police raided the family home of the 24-year-old yesterday afternoon and found the alleged getaway car as well as clothing and alcohol linked to the armed robberies. Eric Cruz was accompanied by family as he handed himself into police last night. The gun is a functioning weapon, a Glock 19 handgun adapted to shoot ball bearings. It's alleged that Eric Cruz held the weapon during the armed robberies. His alleged co-offender remains on the run.
The offending in this circumstance was brazen. It was cowardly and they've targeted some very vulnerable victims.
Cruz was denied bail after the court was told that he'd been binging on cocaine and ice from Thursday to Sunday. Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
Time is running out to find survivors in the ruins of one of America's worst tornado tragedies. Entire towns have been all but wiped out, with the damage stretching for hundreds of kilometres.
Through a maze of destruction, Mayfield makes its first steps to recovery. The clean-up begins in a town shredded by one of the deadliest tornadoes in US history.
Never going to be the same. My neighbourhood isn't going to be the same, and the town isn't going to be the same.
The hope, underneath all this mess, there are survivors.
I'm not sure that we're going to see another rescue. I pray for it.
Families too pray for that miracle.
I hope they find you. I know you're okay down there. The last everybody heard you was talking, and I hope and pray you are still talking.
Her father-in-law is buried in the candle factory, obliterated in the face of the tornado.
I would be down there digging if they could let me. But it's not, can't do nothing but sit and wait.
Rescuers have taken out 40 people alive, but none since early yesterday.
After this long, it's gonna be probably a bleak outlook on finding any more living.
Steve Doran has seen the damage firsthand.
The night that the tornado hit, I actually went and I'm a paramedic and I helped, triage victims and put them on ambulances.
Right across Kentucky, officials simply don't know how many are missing.
We're still finding bodies. I mean, we've got cadaver dogs in towns that they shouldn't have to be in.
This as residents pick through the debris of their lives. Chuck Davis's prized truck, a write-off.
I can't believe it. I mean, I've lived here all my life, it's unreal.
And this is Chuck's cousin's rig. It too is a wreck. The tornado has picked it up and thrown it on its side. Never mind that it's still got a 16,000 kilogram load strapped to the back of it. Search, rescue and recovery efforts continue across 6 states. The rare winter tornadoes tore a swathe through America's Midwest and South. Thousands now homeless, many tens of thousands without power and water, and all here finding their own way through the grief. In Kentucky, Tim Lester, 7 News.
A string of Labor MPs have lost challenges to their seats, including Broadmeadows MP Frank Maguire. State political reporter Charnel Valla joins us. And Charnel, Mr Maguire was fighting for his seat up until the last minute.
Well, he certainly was, Mike. The Broadmeadows MP stood outside Labor HQ this afternoon handing out letters to influential party members of the National Executive as they headed into a meeting where final decisions were being made on pre-selection candidates. Mr Maguire believes he's been singled out because he's not a factional power player.
Why am I being targeted? Because I've made Broadmeadows the safest seat and I'm independent and unaligned. And therefore, is this just a factional hit on me to win that control of that seat?
It wasn't to be, though. Mr Maguire was disendorsed 4 votes to 17, and it didn't end there. MPs linked to a disgraced former Minister Adam Somyurek have also lost their seats. They include Marlene Kairouz, Luke Donnellan and Robin Scott. And in a surprise vote, though, Strictly Ballroom star Paul Mercurio has been endorsed for the seat of Hastings. Mike.
State political reporter Charnel Valla, thank you. The Socceroos are returning to Melbourne for the first time in more than 4 years. Graham Arnold's men will take on Vietnam in a crucial World Cup qualifier on January 27. Officials are hoping for a 30,000-strong crowd at Amy Park. The Aussies have touched down in Adelaide ahead of the second test. Andrew McCormack, there's a selection dilemma on their hands.
There is, Mike. Josh Hazelwood is out and David Warner is still in doubt for the day-night clash. Could this South Australian local get thrown in the deep end as the Aussies complete a bit of an awkward day rubbing shoulders with the old enemy? Also, a rising star opens up on the drunken stunt gone wrong.
It's something I definitely regret, not only the embarrassment of it, but the sheer pain I was in for the next week or two was just excruciating.
Plus, the Aussie at the centre of one of the biggest controversies in Formula One history. More on that incredible finish in Abu Dhabi, an incredible finish to the F1 season. Mike will have more on that in sport.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Macca. A killer will spend just 3 years behind bars for stabbing a young man to death. Next on 7 News, his message to the victim's parents. The controversial plan to put dingoes back in our bushland. How to get a free trip on public transport over the festive season. And later, a supermarket saver, the easy way to track down the cheapest groceries. A killer who stabbed a 20-year-old man to death in an Oakley mall has been jailed for 6.5 years. The victim was only a child and his senseless death leaving his parents forever heartbroken.
Thomas Tran's loved ones wore black to face the man who killed their friend. Lindy Meliti taking his last steps as a free man for now. 20-year-old Tran was killed after a brawl at Oakley's Eaton Mall in June last year. 18-year-old Aliti stabbing him in the heart as an unarmed Tran had started walking away. Today, the Supreme Court heard Tran's parents were only just surviving without their only child. His father sometimes wearing his son's clothes to feel close to him. They cook a meal but have no appetite. They just eat to stay alive. After pleading guilty to manslaughter, Aliti had been granted bail due to his life-threatening epilepsy. He'll now spend 6.5 years in a youth justice prison. While Mr. Aliti's young life is intact, it is a life that will be marred forever. Before handing down the sentence, Justice Croucher told the court he agonised over his decision, the judge saying he needed to weigh up factors including just punishment, with Aliti's genuine remorse for his crime. In a letter to Tran's parents, Aliti wrote, "For the rest of my life, I will have to live with the guilt I have taken an only son away from his family. I know that any punishment given to me by the court will never be enough." Aliti will be eligible for parole in 3.5 years. Estelle Greepink, 7 News.
A plan's been unveiled to bring dingoes back to native forests in Victoria. A government review says dingoes would help limit the impact of foxes, feral goats and cats on smaller animals under threat. Research suggests reintroducing dingoes is an eco-friendly method of pest control. Hundreds of thousands of free travel vouchers will be offered to Victorians over the Christmas holidays. It's the latest plan to revive the CBD after a midweek dining discount scheme proved a roaring success.
The food capital of the world finally thriving again. After struggling to stay open and afloat during the pandemic, the city's restaurants and bars have been helped by a $20 million injection.
We've been blown away by the response from the public.
It's thanks to the council's midweek Melbourne Money initiative. The scheme offered midweek diners a 30% rebate on their bill. There were more than 130,000 successful claims. 60% of diners travelled from outside the city. On average, revellers spent $176.
It's given our staff a sense of excitement, doing what they love doing, which is making people happy, and I think the council's done an extraordinary job.
It's not the only incentive helping to lure people to the CBD. The state government is offering $250,000 vouchers to provide free public transport to a range of city events. They can be used for Christmas events, shopping, dining, galleries and the performing arts. They're on offer on the PTV website from Thursday until sold out.
It's a really timely boost to our industry as we head into Christmas.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Well, it definitely felt like summer today. Sonia Marinelli joins us. And Sonia, the big question is, will it last until Christmas?
Oh, Mike, the day's sunshine was absolutely glorious. And yes, let's hope it's a taste of what we'll be enjoying when Christmas arrives. 32.7 was our high today, but a gusty southwesterly change has already moved through Geelong and it's closing in on the city. It will drop at least another 8 degrees. The heat arrived just in time for the start of the working week, but that didn't stop many of us heading to the beach to soak up the sunshine. Space was at a premium down at Dramana Beach. It is safe to say summer has been slightly underwhelming. It started with severe storms and flooding rain, then some very chilly, almost wintry days, but the weather is looking up. Most days this week will feature sunshine. There'll be barely any showers, and despite a few ups and downs, we are on a general warming trend. Maximums closer to average with a burst of heat to take us into the weekend. But Mike, we won't know until the end of this week as to how Christmas is shaping up, so stay tuned.
Fingers crossed, Sonia, thank you. The rush is on as Melbourne spends up on Christmas, but some festive favourites are proving hard to get. Details next on 7 News. Plus, the Melbourne-made medical breakthrough that helps burns victims to recover more quickly. Hollywood's Walk of Fame shut down by a suspected sniper. And a paraglider left hanging after a close call. Retailers are already reporting an increase in the sales leading up to Christmas. Melinda Saros is live at Melbourne Central for us, and Mel, extended trading hours have just been announced.
Mike, this year there won't be any around-the-clock trading, but some stores will still be operating well into the early hours of the morning, so there will be plenty of time to get all of your Christmas shopping done by the 25th of December. Late-night trading begins later this week, and it's set to coincide with the easing of mask rules, so you may not be needing these anymore when you're doing your Christmas shopping. It's the beginning of a retail resurgence.
It's a lot busier than I thought it would be, but in general, it's really nice to see everyone out again. I'm coming here after almost 6-7 months, so excited.
Melbourne Central, a Christmas shopping mecca.
Melbourne Central's actually opened 21 new stores this year, which is very encouraging given the year we've had, and we've still got about another 3 to go before Christmas.
Extended Christmas trading hours kick off at our major shopping precincts this week. Chadstone will begin trading until midnight this Saturday, the 17th of December. High Point is staying open until midnight from the 20th onwards and until 2 a.m. on the 23rd. Emporium and Melbourne Central will stay open until 9 p.m. from the 16th to the 23rd. And they're making it extremely enticing to shop in the city.
On the weekends, we're actually giving away free parking, so anyone that spends $50 or more, parking's absolutely free.
If you haven't set up the Christmas tree yet, you're running out of time.
It's been a really early, quick season, so a lot of people at home and looking for trees early, so we've more or less sold out.
There's been a surge in demand and a shortage of workers on farms. The Christmas tree elves have had a busy few weeks.
We've delivered a few thousand over those few weeks, from sort of the end of November till now.
Melbourne's also facing a champagne problem. Global supply issues have led to a shortage of Dom Perignon and other overseas brands. Dan Murphy's has put purchase limits on top-end champagne. Although they're generous, you can still buy 12 bottles per person. Melina Saris, 7 News.
A paraglider somehow survived after his canopy collapsed, sending him spiralling into a treetop in New South Wales. He was left dangling from a branch 10 metres above the ground during the 2-hour rescue operation.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm well.
Yep. It was quite a tangle. How did you get stuck?
Accidents happen, hey?
The experienced glider walked away without a scratch. The first Omicron patients are being admitted to hospitals in the UK, where daily case numbers are doubling. The COVID alert has been raised as the Prime Minister announces an emergency plan for boosters.
Boris Johnson beamed into living rooms across the UK.
There is a tidal wave of Omicron coming, and I'm afraid it is now clear that 2 doses of vaccine are simply not enough to give the level of protection we all need.
A televised message speeding up Britain's booster program.
Everyone eligible aged 18 and over in England will have the chance to get their booster before the new year.
The UK's COVID level raised from 3 to 4 as the first patients with Omicron are admitted to hospital. But it's not known how sick they are or if they were vaccinated. It's been 2 weeks since the new strain was detected here. 1,239 new Omicron cases in 24 hours, double the day before.
We've seen this movie before with Kent and Delta and now with Omicron, and we want to see everybody come forward and get their booster.
A booster vital to prevent another Christmas lockdown. So too masks, but many MPs don't believe the Plan B measures are necessary, gearing up to defy their party and Prime Minister in a parliamentary vote this week.
Absolutely essential now that we create a kind of society that's worth living in. I'm determined that that does not mean living under minute and frequently changing rules.
Like mandatory masks again in Malta, where children aged 5 to 11 will be eligible for a COVID jab tomorrow. In London, Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
Part of Hollywood's famous boulevard has been shut down by a suspected sniper. Tactical police were seen moving in over the Walk of Fame. A crowd had gathered to mourn the death of a famous Mexican singer when someone started shooting from a high-rise building. Police set up on rooftops as others traced the apartment. The LAPD has a suspect in custody. The death toll from a gas leak explosion in the south of Italy has climbed to at least 4. An apartment block in Sicily was levelled in the blast, toppling onto neighbouring homes. 2 people were found alive beneath the rubble, but rescuers are searching for 5 others who remain missing. Severe burns patients may soon have access to new life-saving treatment thanks to a world-first medical trial. Melbourne researchers have made a major breakthrough using skin from a patient's own stem cells.
Scientists have found a way to grow skin from a patient's DNA to treat severe burns.
We're trying to recreate skin in the laboratory that will reliably graft onto patients who've had extensive burns.
Kate Sanderson was running an ultra-marathon when she was trapped by a fire. To treat life-threatening burns, she had skin peeled from her torso to graft onto her arms, hands and feet.
We had to wait sort of 2 weeks for it to regrow, for it to harvest again, and that was sort of a repetitive process for many times over.
Researchers are working on a reliable skin substitute. Just like skin, it's stretchy, and doctors would only need a 2-centimetre skin sample to then replicate the skin cells. The technology isn't new, but it would be the first time it's used to treat trauma victims.
We are taking a small amount of skin cells, a couple of different types, and multiplying them in the laboratory.
If successful, the skin substitute will significantly reduce the time patients spend in hospital. It will also reduce the need for any further procedures patients may need due to complications.
I think it's a medical marvel. I think for doctors, for surgeons, for everyone involved.
Kathleen O'Connor, 7 News.
There's help for Victorians who need to see a doctor with millions of dollars to make it easier. Details next on 7 News. Plus, traffic chaos after a pile-up at Mount Eliza. And the supermarket savers cutting family grocery bills by up to 30%. Telehealth consultations are being made permanent in Australia. It's part of a $300 million federal government boost to strengthen the primary health sector and allow doctors to treat more patients remotely.
Thanks very much for coming back. It came about because of the pandemic, but it has changed the way Australians are able to access healthcare.
86 million telehealth appointments have been made since the start of the pandemic. Time is running out to make sure your parcels arrive in time for Christmas. If you're sending your gifts by regular mail, Australia Post says today was your last chance to get them delivered by December 25th. Otherwise, you have until Monday week for express post to other states. The cut-off has passed for regular post to WA and the Northern Territory, but express post is still available until Wednesday. A crash involving a truck and car has caused long delays on the Nepean Highway at Mount Eliza this morning. A woman in her 50s was taken to the Alfred Hospital in a stable condition. The highway was closed city-bound for 2 hours during the early morning peak. A volcano on the Spanish island of La Palma has broken a new record. It's now been spewing lava for 85 straight days, the longest ever eruption on the island paradise. But it still pales in comparison to other lengthy eruptions. Italy's Mount Stromboli has been active since the 7th century. The holiday season is fast approaching and with it, skyrocketing grocery bills. Now a new online platform is claiming it can help slash prices so Christmas lunch doesn't have to break the bank.
'Tis the season to be shopping and stocking up for the festive feast.
Australians are planning to spend over $300 on groceries and food.
SmartCart is the latest technology hoping to stop you overspending this silly season.
And it'll compare your entire cart between Coles and Woolies for all the items you want to buy.
Instantly alerting you if there are better deals elsewhere.
We're seeing customers save an average about $30, $35 per shop.
There's also a number of mobile apps helping keep costs down, including WiseList, which, like SmartCart, helps compare the cost of your shop, and Frugal, which weighs up prices across Coles and Woolies, offering savings of 20 to 30%. With deals also available direct on the supermarket's apps.
We can see all of our products that are on special that are the ones you regularly buy.
1 in 3 Australians is now opting to buy online, where experts say it's easier to make a list, check it twice, and then stick to it.
Using app shopping online really means you don't make those impulse buys.
If you're yet to start your shopping, Wednesday is the day to do it, as that's when the supermarkets start their weekly specials. But you can plan ahead with a preview of the sales, often available online.
Look at the catalogue. It comes out at 5 p.m. on Monday online. It's really a clever way to make sure that you are saving money.
Amber Laidler, 7 News.
Melbourne's Miss Universe contestant Daria Varlamova has been knocked out early in the competition. Women from around 80 countries travelled to Israel to showcase their talent and beauty. In the end, it was a battle between India and Paraguay.
And the new Miss Universe is India.
It was the first time the pageant was held in Israel. Sport is next with Andrew McCormack at Macca. There's hope for England yet.
Yes, there is, Mike. After an awkward shared charter flight to Adelaide, both the Aussies and the old enemy have touched down. Coming up next, we'll explain why Australia's Ashes stranglehold may have slightly weakened ahead of the second test. Plus, how the men in green plan to hold on to their star attraction for a Big Bash title tilt. Also, Brodie Grundy delivers some hard truths to a troubled teammate as a former Magpie breaks his silence. And not done with yet, Lewis Hamilton vows to fight on after a Formula One finish for the ages. Welcome back. Australia faces a pair of intriguing selection calls ahead of the second Ashes test. The Aussies will have to make at least one change, with England's Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad ready to make up for lost time.
Touching down in Adelaide with the second test in their sights and sharing a plane with their rivals, Australia is forging ahead without some key weapons. Josh Hazlewood ruled out with the side strain. David Warner in Adelaide, but dodging the team flight to spend time with family. Selectors now faced with another dilemma. Jai Richardson waiting in the wings. South Australian batter Henry Hunt spotted joining the team at their hotel. A possible replacement for Warner over Usman Khawaja. Meantime, the Melbourne Stars are soaking up a 6-wicket win over Sydney Thunder, boosted by West Indies recruit Andre Russell.
Seen one hit 100 tonight, that won't be far away.
He's a world-class player, all-rounder, three-dimensional, and everybody saw what he did last night. It's phenomenal.
42 runs off 21 balls and a lucky escape, but still unable to celebrate or travel with his team until Cricket Australia imposed restrictions lift tonight.
Rather challenging dealing with both sets of teams in two different dressing rooms, but we managed to get 2 wins out of it, so maybe it's a lucky charm.
Russell is only locked in for a 5-game stint. The Stars coach David Hussey is hoping he'll be persuaded to stay.
It's always a possibility, so you just never know with Andre. Lots of cricket he's played, so he might want to go home, but again, let's try and twist his arm.
Laura Spurway, 7 News.
And tonight, Nick Manninson takes charge as Renegades captain for the first time against the Brisbane Heat. All the action live and free right here on 7 straight after the news. A new deal remains in the works for one of the AFL's most experienced senior coaches. Live to Chief Football reporter Tom Brown. And Tom, this one's set to come a little later than expected.
Andrew, slightly later than expected. Sources indicate at the appropriate time Chris Scott's contract will be finalised in the new year. New Cats boss Steve Hocking indicated on the 24th of October that Scott would be extended, the deal expected to be 2 years. But since then, almost 2 months later, there's still been no announcement or no formal deal. But I've been told today there's nothing in that delay. It's all on track for a new deal for the highly regarded Chris Scott at Collingwood. Meantime, Scott Pendlebury offered Jordan De Goey a bit of a lifeline of sorts recently, but Brodie Grundy was far more firm today.
Brodie Grundy's reached out and phoned Jordan De Goey, but the ruckman supports Collingwood's stand down until at least January 18.
I think he'll be a big enough boy to be able to deal with training away from the group. That alleged behaviour is just something that we can't stand for. So yeah, until that plays out, until that is something that we know more about, Jordan will be spending time away.
Grundy revealing he's lost 3 kilograms after spending 11 weeks back at home in South Australia.
Trimmed up, just trying to give myself the best opportunity to play my best footy and getting back to vintage 2014 Brodie, just going back to SA and enjoying it.
Grundy strongly endorsing new coach Craig McRae.
Just his ability to be able to communicate and really get on, just really sort of get on your level. And he's just a real teacher. He's got real empathy as well.
Richmond's unlikely to decide their captain until just before the season. Jack Riewoldt is training in Tasmania and will join teammates after the break. And James Hird Academy kids are training with the Bombers, including Elwyn Davies' boys, Elwyn Jr. and Jaden, Gavin Wangadine's son Tex, Alex Hird joining his brother Tom. Tom Brown, 7 News.
Jaden Stevenson says the only thing worse than the embarrassment of a drunken off-season stunt gone wrong was the pain of a fractured hip. The North Melbourne midfielder was hospitalised after falling from a bicycle in a backyard during a drinking session with friends.
It's something I definitely regret, not only the embarrassment of it, but the sheer pain I was in for the next week or two was just excruciating, the worst pain I've ever been in. So yeah, certainly have learnt my lesson and won't be doing that again.
Stevenson says new Roos coach David Noble wasn't angry, just disappointed. Well, you couldn't make up the crazy finish to one of Formula One's greatest title fights, but Lewis Hamilton claims they did. It took 4 hours to dismiss 2 Mercedes protests to confirm Max Verstappen's first championship, won in unbelievable drama.
With a hug and chink of bottles, it seemed Lewis Hamilton had conceded defeat to Max Verstappen.
This whole year it's been the most difficult of seasons.
But his Mercedes team had launched 2 protests with Aussie race director Michael Massey in their crosshairs.
Go ahead, Toto. You need to reinstate the lap before. That's not right. Toto? Yes. It's called a motor race, okay? Sorry? We went car racing.
Arriving at the Abu Dhabi finale level on points, Hamilton was streeting to an 8th world title before one more twist, 5 laps to go.
Oh no, Nicholas Latifi.
It brought a safety car. 1 lap left, lapped cars were told to clear out, setting up a 1-lap duel for the title.
Michael, this isn't right.
Verstappen had stopped for fresh soft tyres, Hamilton hadn't.
He's going to make the lunge down the inside. Hamilton sees it coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen.
No, Mikey, no, Mikey, that was so not right.
The 24-year-old Dutchman held on.
Oh my Lord, Max! Oh my Lord! Yes!
Hamilton cried, conspiracy.
This has been manipulated, man.
From Daniel Ricciardo,
I'm glad I'm not a part of that. Whatever just happened, it seemed pretty up.
protests about safety car process and Verstappen nudging ahead of Hamilton before the restart were dismissed.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, insane emotions as well. I lost my voice already.
A bitter battle to the end. The reign of Mad Max begins. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Well, it begins, but who knows if it'll go ahead because Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton are still fighting that, so this one could head up in court.
Yeah, my head hurt watching that. It was very bizarre. Thanks, Macca. Sonia is next with the forecast, and Sonia, it was a ripper start to the week.
Wasn't it a great start, Mike? But you might already be feeling those cooler winds out at your place with a mild Tuesday in store. I'll have the details next.
Know the headlines as they break. Know the stories as they happen. With 7news.com.au, know the news now.
Hello again. A cool change has moved through Geelong and it is set to hit the city very soon. After a high of 32.7 degrees, the sunshine has gone, replaced with these clouds. 30 is where we stand right now, and a gusty southwesterly will drop the temperature by another 7 or so degrees. Ahead of that change, we are in a northerly. That sent the mercury well above average right around the city. It is 30 right now in Essendon and Frankston, and there's a strong wind warning current for Port Phillip Bay. The cool change has already taken hold in that far southwest corner in Hamilton. It is now 15 degrees, but we're still feeling the heat right through the north. We have a total fire ban in the Mallee and Wimmera until midnight. Taking a look at the broader picture now, and a trough is moving eastwards over Victoria. There are some showers and storms with that system, but it should deliver a mostly dry change for us tonight. The system will stall over central parts tomorrow, but cool winds will struggle to push up into the north, so do expect another hot day there. Around the nation tomorrow, summer has taken a dry turn right down the east coast. Not a drop of rain is forecast for Brisbane and Sydney. We have 29 with a possible storm, though, in Canberra. Hobart fine and 21 degrees, a warm 27 in Adelaide. Perth 25 and sunny. Back home, there'll be isolated showers and possible thunderstorms developing about the central and eastern ranges tomorrow, but sunny breaks elsewhere. We're expecting low to mid-20s in the south, and the heat will return across the north. But despite another day in the high 30s for those in the Mallee and Wimmera, light winds there tomorrow. That will make for a less dangerous fire-weather day. Around Melbourne tomorrow, partly cloudy and a light southerly wind. Most suburbs heading to between 21 and 24 degrees. Not in Yarra Glen, though, it is heading for 26 there tomorrow. Here in the city, more than 10 degrees cooler than today. We do have a high of 22 under a mix of sun and cloud. To the 7-day outlook now, and Wednesday will take a cloudy turn, a top of 20. Breaks of sunshine for your Thursday, 21. Then a burst of heat as we head into the weekend, 29 degrees on Friday. Hot and gusty during Saturday. We're heading for 33 degrees. Then we're down to 24 on Sunday and also on Monday. So there's plenty more summer heat to come, Mike. I think it's safe to say we can put away those winter woolies for now. What do you think?
That's a brave prediction here in Melbourne, isn't it,
It
Sonia?
is, yes.
OK, well done. Thank you. Now let's see what's on Sunrise in the morning.
Thanks, Mike. Tomorrow on Sunrise, with borders open, the great caravan boom, why Aussie families are holidaying on the road and choosing not to fly.
Plus, British comedy.
And that's 7 News for now from the team. Have a great night.